So once we have a signal that is either digital or analog signal, we have to get that signal, turn that back into sound and get it back to our ears. So in this video, we're going to talk about amps and speakers, and we're also going to talk about some cables and connections and things in here as well. So in a live sound situation, one of the common setups is passive speakers and an amplifier. So when your signal comes out of the mixing board or whatever, it's not hot enough to actually like drive a speaker to make sound. So we have to use power amps. There's on the left, that's 3 separate power amps. And you can see they each have 2 big knobs on the front. So these are 2-channel amps, meaning you could run a left and a right speaker off of one of those. So if you had, say, 2 monitor mixes and left and right speaker, you can only get like one thing through each channel, like one mix, one combination of sounds through the channel. So if you had 4 monitor mixes and a left and right main speaker, like you would need these 3 2-channel power amplifiers. And then you plug the power amplifier into the speaker, and on the right, that's an example of a passive speaker. That means the speaker doesn't have any power. All the power gets generated from the amp. And this is common in certain live situations. There are other times when we will have active speakers, and that means that the amplifier is built in. So if you look at the one on the left, these Yamaha, these are like also sort of PA style speakers, something you might use in a live setting. But you'll notice on the back, there's a place to plug in power. And there's also a couple of different ways to plug in like a microphone or a line signal or something to it. So you can tell that's an active speaker. It's got the amplifier in it. There's some level settings on the back. If we look back at these other ones, you'll notice on the back it's just a plug, right? There's no power, there's no real level setting or anything. It's just the plug. But on the active ones, the amplifier is actually built in. And if you picked one of those up, you would notice as well, because the active ones are much heavier. And then on the right, that is like a desktop monitor. Those are often active as well. This sort of near field monitors that we might use in a mixing situation or something like that. So that's what we have to do to get the signal back loud enough to drive the speaker to turn the electrical signal back into air, is an amplifier and a speaker, or in the case of the active speakers, the amplifier is built into the speaker. I'm also going to talk in this video a little bit about connector types. So this is called an XLR connector, or sometimes called a Canon plug or a mic connector. Canon was just a brand name. But so most microphones use this type of connector. You can also use this. There's some video connections that use this. There are some digital connections that will use this type of thing. It's called XLR because generally there's a left and a right, and then a ground, or if you have a condenser microphone that you're sending phantom power to, the other lead in there would be used to send the power to it. So this is an XLR. It can be analog or digital. Pretty much all professional microphones use this sort of connection, so it's often just called a microphone cable as well. This is a 1/4-inch plug, sometimes called a guitar cable or a jack cord or a patch cord or even a phone plug. So guitars, pro line headphones, line level inputs, things out of keyboards, those are the types of connections that go like from my audio interface to my powered monitors on my desk. These tend to run analog only signals. And then there's the 1/8-inch version, which you probably recognize. That's the size of back when phones had headphone jacks. That's what they were there. And then, so that's consumer level audio. The iMacs and the MacLab have this size plug in the back of them to plug in your headphones. These can be analog or digital. Sometimes people would call this like an aux cord as well. That's become sort of a newer term. So the 1/8 inch and the 1/4 inch function in the same way. They're just different sizes. So the way these work is you see the little ring on the plug that separates the signal. So the one on the right that says mono, there's a tip and then the sleeve. So you essentially get like two connections. There's the ground and the signal. The stereo one is called tip ring sleeve. So the ring and the sleeve have carry different signal, and then the tip as well. So this lets you either send a stereo signal, like on your little mini plugs. Your headphones are stereo because you have a tip ring sleeve. Or you can do a balanced signal, mono balanced, which is a way to get less noisy signal that we might talk about more later, but you don't need to know that right now. But you do need to know if it asks for a balanced signal that you need a tip ring sleeve plug. And you might also have noticed that on your headphones, like if your headphones have a microphone on them, like your phone earbuds with the built-in mic, or even some nicer headphones have microphones on them, that there would be another ring on there. So it would be tip ring sleeve, because you need another line, another essentially channel for the microphone as well. So that's the tip ring sleeve stuff. And then there's also these plugs called RCA plugs or phono plugs. If any of you have a component stereo system, you probably recognize these. There are some digital formats that will use this connection as well.